Good. Still feels like the morning, but it's the afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another 5 Fact Friday on Moving Home with Charlie with me, Charlie. And this week, I never know where to begin with these videos because there are lots of new people following every single week. And I'm going to start with this. I have become best known for my very negative house price expectations over the next couple of years. I have been saying for a while that I think house prices will fall on average, nominal, 35% from the peak in 2022 to whenever the trough is. And I think it's going to be in 2025, but I don't know. But that will vary with regional variations, where in some parts of the country they will not fall that much, in other parts they will fall further. And in some places, certain types of property will fall further and certain types of property will fall less. So there are places in the country where, because of the region and also because of the extra competition for first-time buyers, the lower priced properties are not going to fall that much. And there'll be places where they fall much further. So the one thing that people seem to keep getting wrong is that I'm saying all house prices will fall 35%, and I've never said that. I also am probably wrong and could be wrong, and you shouldn't make any decisions based on what I think. All I ask is that you consider my opinions and my views in the basket of research you're doing before you make the biggest purchase of your life. Now, in a nutshell, the single reason that I am so bearish on house prices, not what I want to happen necessarily, is because I foresee the economy becoming already much worse than is reported, and going to get considerably worse for at least the next 2 years. And if you just cast your eyes across mainstream headlines, you'll get the feeling that it's okay. I mean, there's a small recession, but the unemployment's still low, isn't it? Unemployment's low. There's not a real recession. There's a tiny one. Everything's fine. And yet, so the people who don't question headlines or look beyond them kind of accept that this is okay. And yet you look around at your friends everywhere and go, but nobody really seems to be okay. Might be the odd person here or there, but everyone seems to be getting more and more skint. And I've got friends who are being laid off everywhere, left, right, center, but it must be fine because it says it's okay in the news, right? So that must be right. The Office of National Statistics, that must be absolutely accurate information, mustn't it? So I think house prices are going to fall far further than anyone else, however far they fall, or than most people, because I think the economy is going to be much worse than everybody else. And at the beginning, a couple of hours this morning, a couple of hours ago, I put out a post on YouTube and on X saying, what do you think are the most what do you think is the most significant story affecting the housing market this week? And I was inviting those people who held the opposite view of me to say, well, this is an important housing story, Charlie, and it's positive for the housing market, and this is an important story and it's positive for the housing market. And I got tumbleweed. I got a couple of suggestions, both suggesting the same story, which is, if anything, just further compounds my view that there is no evidence whatsoever of the economy having anything to strengthen it or get stronger or grow. Let me get into it because I just really, really, really want to change the minds of people who don't have time to do the global macroeconomic research for themselves. Of course, most people don't have time to do that, and therefore have nothing to go on. But I look across all the papers and all the media, and it's all roughly telling me the same thing, that there's not really a recession. I'm speaking to you guys. You guys are going, I hear what they're saying, that it's okay, but I'm looking around and all I can see is more and more shops closing down. 5 facts this week that came out that I think affect the housing market the most. The rules are they must be new since last Friday, and they must be reported in a place that you can go and verify it. And in the link below, you'll see a link to a page on my website that's got the links for all of these. Without further ado, I was definitely caught off guard. This was not ready for this. Fact number 1. Here we go. Rightmove put out their February house price index this week, and they said everything's going up. House prices are going up month on month and year on year. And if you look deeply into that, you'll see that these are very, very small changes. But the most important thing is that you understand that the way the Rightmove house prices index, it's not house prices, it's asking prices. There is absolutely no actual sold house price data that goes into the Rightmove house price index. So I think it should be called the asking price index. In fact, I wonder whether or not the Advertising Standards Authority would agree that this should not be called a house price index, but an asking price index. Might be worth trying out. I think the most significant stat from that was actually this one, which is the average time to secure a buyer in February has gone up, well, it's in January, a huge jump, the steepest jump for over a year, to the highest level in well over a year, 78 days outside London, 84 days inside London. And of course, that's not what will actually be happening. Well-priced property will be selling in 28 days. Everything else will be taking 6 months, but it's getting longer. That's fact number 1. Fact number 2. Again, this is nothing official. It's a story in the press, drip fed to test public reaction to this idea of a 99% mortgage scheme. Now, the actual newsworthy part here is not that it's 99%, because the 99.5%, 100% mortgage skipped it off at 100% mortgage last year, didn't it? The actual news here is that it's a taxpayer guaranteed mortgage. Okay, I will circle back to this when I got through the 5 facts of the week. Okay, but that's definitely fact number 2. That definitely, if it actually becomes implemented, and if it's made really widely available, would actually probably move the needle on the housing market. A lot of big ifs. We don't have the details. It's just rumor at this point, and therefore not going to move the housing market. So I don't know if it actually even qualifies to be in this week. It's certainly one of the most talked about things of this week, but that's that. We'll come back to that in a minute. Next fact. And talk about gaslighting, right? When the lenders put interest rates up, the headline says changing interest rates. Now, I don't know about you, but I think given that all 3 of those brands there have put their interest rates up, it would have been a reasonable and arguably more accurate headline to say HSBC, NatWest, and Virgin Money raise mortgage interest rates. That would have been an absolutely impartial, factually correct statement, not changing interest rates. Okay, and actually, just to put my point in here, they have referred to the fact that Halifax might be reducing its rates, and what do they say there? They don't say change; they say cutting rates. However, there are signs of lenders failing to settle on where rates should be. Halifax, part of Lloyds, is cutting rates on some of its deals on Friday, today. And that apparently is true, but I've spoken to mortgage lenders this morning, and there's still no news on actually what those rate reductions at Halifax are. But there we are. I think it's what is a bigger deal is that those most lenders have raised rates. Fact number 3. Fact number 4. Now, this the fact is that Bank of England's chairman, Andrew Bailey, was reported as saying that the market expectation that there may be rate cuts this year is not unreasonable. It said he's comfortable with outlook for rate cuts. Now, this isn't anything new. This isn't news. And yet it was reported everywhere. And all of what I call the rate cut screens went, yeah, they're definitely definitely going to cut rates. And this is newsworthy because to me, it was evidence of this fake or false hope and false optimism that is prevalent throughout the market, that everything's going to be okay because they're definitely going to cut rates. They're not definitely going to cut rates. Rates may cut this year. Nothing has changed. No one has actually disputed with the fact that there will probably be rate cuts at some point this year. But all he's done is say, well, maybe there will be. He's changed nothing. And yet, headline. Bank of England, Bailey says he's comfortable with rate cuts. There's nothing new. This is not news. But the desperation for any claw to clutch to, that rates will come down. And on the back of that, everyone goes, well, rates are going to come down. So that means housing prices are going to go up and everything's going to be fine again. And it is that I think is relevant to report on. Because there is absolutely no basis for certainty of rate cuts. Evidenced by the fact that only a month ago, people were saying, well, mortgage rates are coming down, mortgage rates are coming down, mortgage rates are coming down. And they had come down in January, but there was no one saying, careful, because they could go back up. Was there? And yet, look, they just have gone back up. And I want Bank of England base rate and mortgage rates to come down a bit, not go back down to where they were. That's not healthy. I want them to. I am personally suffering financially while they are high. I will benefit if they come down. I want them to come down, but wanting them to come down is not a basis on which to make future decisions, assuming that they will come down. That is the mistake everyone's making. Hope for the best. I hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Be prepared for the worst. So that was fact number 4. Just a small breather before we get into fact number 5. Hello, everybody. Joanne, Visual, Argy Bargy, Leo, Andrew Taylor, Nia Mac, AM, Imdadul Hack, Yachek, Daniel, Nick Woodward, Gavin Ward. Hi, guys. Yeah. Hi, Kicking Mustang. Nice to see you all here. Okay, so I'm going to big up my work with fact number 5. And fact number 5 is, here we go. Let me get it up on screen. It's about this house price, exchange price index, the best agent exchange price index. I want to just let you know that it is a fact that's now been up for over a week. And it's a fact that the hackers haven't managed to take it down, although they would appear to have tried. And it's a fact that 116 of you have reported exchange prices. These are small numbers for now, and that's a good thing, right? That's the number that we need to reach to match the land registry sample size. And we're not going to do it this month, and that doesn't matter, because this is a few steps to get where we're going to go. Interestingly, we also had 134 REITs reported. And the surprising facts about this for this week are that, oh no, I've got complete mind. Oh yes, that's right. We've had agents reporting prices. We've had landlords reporting prices, had sellers reporting prices, as well as buyers. I expected buyers to report its prices. But to have lettings agents going, this is fantastic. And what's really, really interesting to me is the number of people from all of those different groups, including agents and conveyancers and landlords, who actually want price transparency. And I am currently, and going to be spending this month ruminating. I think we're going to change the name, because I think open source, whilst I know what it means, I still think there are a lot of people who aren't involved in the house price, in the housing market, who aren't quite sure what open source means. And I really want to get across the fact that this is going to be a price index, and I'm also thinking of calling it the home price index rather than the house price index, right? I'm thinking of calling it the people's home price index. Somebody on X went, that's very USSR, Charlie, the People's Home Price Index. But the People's Home Price Index, because I really want people to understand that the prices in this index, the exchange prices and the rent prices in this index, are supplied by people moving house and people involved in moving house, and is open for everybody to supply these prices. And so this will be the only property market price index which is not an opaque data set that we cannot query from a vested interest outfit. Yes, the Land Registry's data set is transparent and they publish it, but what is not opaque is their calculation method of their index. And so I really want, because what we're going to be doing, I was meeting with my PR representative this week about exactly how we take this to the media, exactly how we get, we need to get more in there before we can go to the media. But we've got to get across the fact that this is crowdsourced, that this is a democratic housing market price index, that it is transparent, and that it will be publicly available to all, and there will be no opacity. There will be no smoke and mirrors and fog. There will be total transparency about every aspect of it, so that we don't have the obfuscation and ability to manipulate the market that exists now by the overprices, because we, all of us, all movers, are being ripped off by deliberate overpricing by certain bad estate agency culprits that leads to slower transactions that hurts everybody, people overpaying when they shouldn't, and not just on buying homes, but on renting homes as well. And for people, for example, who want probate, everyone, surveyors, anyone and everyone that needs to move or needs to sell, just needs to know, well, what happened last month? What are the most recent exchanges of properties like mine? That is being actively withheld from us by organizations who have that data. Is it a coincidence, do you think, that the country's largest estate agency that represents over 10% of the market and therefore has a bigger sample size at its disposal than the Land Registry does, is owned by a mortgage lender and does not publish its exchange price data that it could publish? Can you imagine? They hold exchange price data that they could choose to publish tomorrow, and yet they don't. And they're owned by a mortgage lender. And there are people out there who worship at the feet of the official house price indices like it's actually the truth, when what it is a severely manipulated index of a mixture of different stuff, with mixed estimations made by humans who go, what should we call it? That don't publish what their estimations are or their assumptions. And transparency is the revenge. And that's why I put revenge somewhere. It's in the title of this video, right? It is the opportunity for movers to wreak revenge on the worst offenders of overpricing. Because if we choose, and it's up to you guys, by the way, it's not up to me. I will make this facility available and I will publicize it to the best of my ability. But unless you choose to actually go, we must make sure everyone knows about this, and we must make sure everyone's got a price to input, puts it in there. Unless you choose to do that, it will not achieve the sample size necessary to be credible enough to actually hold it up against the other house price indices and go, wrong, 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 guff, guff, guff. But if people know that this is a people-sourced, consumer or community-sourced, publicly contributed to and publicly open, transparent house price index, if people know that that's what it is and understand that in the first month that we can publish it as a large enough sample size of data, that is the month that overpricing will be able to be ended. And it will hurt the businesses who rely the most on overpricing. The ability for the worst offenders of overpricing to get away with it causes real harm to individual people, buyers and sellers. How does it affect sellers, you might say? Surely sellers are happy with overpricing. Well, no. Overpricing hurts sellers because overpricing gets a seller to sign up with an agent that doesn't care if they sell the house or not. I'll explain why in a second. And they get them to sign into a long sole agency contract, 6-month sole agency contract. So that seller will now not sell their house because it's much too highly priced and they're not going to bring it down. And that estate agent will use that seller's house and the inquiries they get on that house to sign people up to their in-house mortgage products. In other words, overpricing is used to sell mortgages. Overpricing. Oh, Jill, I'm glad you're there. I know you say you're trying to register your exchange price. I need to find out. I need you to email what's happening to you because we can't. Lots and lots of other people are registering successfully, and other people who said they were stuck now say they can get past it. I got to understand what you're doing differently and why you can't do it, Jill. Without knowing exactly what's happening, I can't help fix. Sorry, guys, that's a distraction. But Jill Hayes, could you please try and contact me with a screenshot or something to show us exactly what's going on there? But revenge. Revenge is a very strong word. And when I was talking to my PR, hi Caro, my PR about this, she said, "Oh, it's quite a negative, aggressive thing." I said, but I think there are enough people who are frustrated enough and angry enough that actually revenge is what they would like because they were tricked into overpaying and they want some revenge. Well, what sort of revenge are we talking about? We are talking about the deconstruction. No, that's a terrible word. We're talking about removing the opportunity for deliberate overpricing to be of use or of commercial advantage or commercial opportunity to anyone anymore. We're talking about the businesses who deliberately and knowingly overvalue to trick people into signing up and then don't sell or undersell their property, having oversold mortgages to people. We're talking about those businesses being forced to either change how they work and become transparent or go out of business. That, to me, is righteous revenge, as in justifiable revenge, as in the only people who lose are the people who are knowingly exploiting people's lack of understanding of this to disadvantage those people. So it's the movers' revenge. It's the people's revenge. It is the revenge against bad estate agency. And that's why I want to call it the People's Home Price Index. Now, why Home Price Index and not House Price Index? Because I think the phrase house price index has become tainted. I think all existing house price indices are culpable of misleading the public about what's actually happening. And I'm not saying that they're deliberately distorting their figures and lying, but what I'm saying is they are continuing the confusion. Every single house price index out there, including the land registry, because it is so delayed, actually contributes to the possibility of deliberately overvaluing agents doing it. Every single one, all of them, Nationwide, Halifax, Rightmove, Zoopla, Land Registry, all the existing house price indices contribute to the overpricing and overvaluing crime, as far as I'm concerned, that leads to people not being able to move when they need to move and to people being oversold and overpaying and being tricked into overpaying. None of them themselves are committing any obvious crime. I'm not accusing any one of them of lying. I'm talking about the way they publish their data is done in such a way that it cannot be questioned. Even the media doesn't question it. Not one single journalist that I am aware of has ever questioned the output of the house price indices. There is one who's come to me from the BBC saying, if you have evidence of something, I'd like to do a story on it. But there is no evidence because they don't publish their calculation method. And so this can't be proved. The only way to prove that they are engaging in a process that disadvantages people and movers and results in overpaying is to have a transparent house price index that shows, or home price index, that shows these are the exchange prices. So it's accurate, verifiable data that removes the time reporting lag on house prices and eliminates the opportunity for an overvaluing agent to walk into someone's home and going, I can get you 20% more than those other agents. They're just not very good agents. Sign here. And then you never see from that lister again. We can stop it. We can stop it. House price index as a phrase, in my view, is tainted and riddled with doubt and lack of transparency. And that's why I don't want to call the best agent one a house price index anymore. I want to call it a home price index because I want it to be about people getting homes. It also, obviously, home includes flats, whereas houses don't include flats. And I think open source isn't quite the right term. I want to call it the people's home price index. Yes, by the people, for the people, exactly. And total transparency. So, okay, guys. So that's fact number 5, is that the best agent people's home price index is making major strides forward to becoming a reality. But it is up to you whether it succeeds or not. I will do everything in my power to make it succeed and become something of credibility. I want journalists to be able to use the best agent people's home price index to challenge the other ones. I want to give them verifiable data that they can say, well, hang on a second, Nationwide or Halifax or Rightmove or Zoopla, how do you explain the difference between your house price index, what it's saying, and the best agent home price index? It's up to you. It's going to be in your hands. Please, by the way, you can go there right now, this moment right now, you can go and put in your exchange price, put in your rental price. That will help. But what will help more is if you ask other people to do it and say, I mean, you really got to say to them, guys, we can really get our own back now. We can get revenge against the deliberately manipulative, lying and deceiving factions of the property and mortgage lending industry. This is our chance to get our own back on decades of unfairness. Can everyone please do it? And can everyone please make sure they get someone else to do it? It's up to you. I will do it. I will provide the tools to help you do it. I'll make sure it's shareable, put the links there. We're hopefully going to add a sort of running total average, like a raw, median, and mean of both the home prices and rent prices. All I want is transparency, because transparency will lead to fairness. And if it's fair, transactions will happen faster. And if transactions happen faster, it becomes easier to move. And if it's easier to move, everybody wins. So I'm unaware of any valid objection to the concept of a transparent home price index. If you object to it, the only people who could possibly object to this are people who currently rely on deception for their business. Well, you are the guys I want to stop. And I want to give the moving public of the UK and all of the people in the industry who support transparency the tools with which to stop you. And the beauty about technology and social media is that actually a small team like the Best Agent team has the power to bring something to life that allows ordinary people to go, enough, stop. We have had enough of being lied to, and it ends now. Now, as soon as we can get the numbers, so the total numbers, it was about 250 people so far have actually successfully registered both sales and lettings. I need to get that to about 1,000. And when we get to about 1,000, I can start talking to journalists about doing stories about, oh, look, something's happening. Could this be the thing that finally blows the lid off the secrecy and lack of transparency around the housing market? So, guys, it is up to you. You need to go to, I need to put the thing on the screen, don't I? the URL. It is below in the links, but it is bestagent.property/HPI. There it is on the screen. Where is it? It says I've already got it, but I can't find it. Where is it? There it is. bestagent.property/HPI. I will actually also have another easier, shorter URL. Now, what I also want to show you, actually, while I'm here, is the All Homes Index. Okay, I want to show you. So this is the index we had up for a while, and the reason that I'm just not happy that this index is accurate. I've made it as transparent and accurate as we can. This is asking prices, all right? It clearly says that there. Is it up on the screen? I'm just going to get it nice and big. I want to show you one of the things that I think shows that asking prices are completely, I can't get this to do what I want it to do. So we will continue to publish these prices, and I will also put, oh, I can't get it to zoom to the right sky. Sorry, guys. I'm going to add in the People's Home Price Index prices on this page, right? So it'll all be together and start to get a better picture. Now, if you want to look at this, just go to bestagent.news, and we've got England and we've got Wales separately displayed here. Now, one of the things we've got there is the sample size. That's something that none of the other indices show you up front and center. How many home prices are used in the calculation of these numbers, right? So currently in England, we have 139,412 publicly available prices of properties that have sold, or as in gone under offer. But this is the publicly listed asking price of the sold property. It is not the sold price. But there we have the median, and there we have the average. Difference between the median and the average, and why I think the median is a much better signal. It's what's a much better price. It's what's used in other countries like America. But guess what? Over here, they pick the average. But look at the difference between the median and average of sold stuff compared to the median and average of unsold stuff. So there are 557,000 unsold properties showings for sale publicly across the whole of England, all estate agents. And look at the difference between the median asking price of unsold property and the median asking price of sold property. That is a £65,000 difference between unrealistic people trying to sell their house and realistic people trying to sell their house. £65,000 difference. That's an almost 20% difference down on the top price, okay? And actually, if you look at the average, it's an even bigger difference. I mean, this is why Rightmove does publish the average asking price of all properties, because it would be somewhere between these two numbers. It would just look ridiculous. But there's a 38% difference between the average asking prices of sold and unsold properties, and a 23% difference between the median. And that's why median. Why do none of the other house price index providers ever use median prices? There is your answer, ladies and gentlemen. There is your answer. All right. Now, just to wrap this up, I'm sitting here in my quiet study, and I've got all this stuff on my screen, and I've got no idea if anyone can actually hear me or see me. I've got a number on the screen, but you are all chatting away, so that's cool. No, I don't have any Scotland stats, England and Wales at the moment only, which we compare with the land registry. One day, I hope to include Scotland and Northern Ireland, but not yet. What was the other thing I wanted to talk about with you? So going back to 5 Fact Friday, I just to show you that I do listen to the people who go, Charlie, you're being too negative. There is some positive news. You're not publishing positive news. So what was the most positive news? Now, I only had 2 responses to that question. Or, give me some positive news. Let me just make sure I'm up to date with that claim, because I did ask you on YouTube as well. And on YouTube, let's just see. I wondered if someone would say that. Right. I will share this with you so that you get it. Okay, so double check you can see that. So on YouTube, I asked this question: what's the one biggest variable factor that you think is, so in other words, what is your contribution to 5 Fact Friday? Provide a link with you can. Someone has come up with Fred Harrison's prediction of continued house price rises in the order of 20%. Adding to the plethora. So this is hilarious. Leslie Smith, thank you for that. It is establishment guff. It's hilarious because Fred Harrison's prediction, if you read the article about it, is just based on total speculation. Total speculation. Yeah, mortgage is back over 4%. I included that one. Yes, it will. Yes, exactly. So, okay, so no one said anything seriously from that. But on X, I did have a couple of people who brought up the only potential fact. Where is it? Where is it? Let me just find it. Yes, here we are. Got it. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Thank you for your patience. No, that's not where it came in then. Okay. The story was that we had, here it is. It's the December. Share this tab instead. So this was the other thing. And I just want to answer it actually, because I want to do it the honor of responding to. If this is the most positive fact, first of all, this came out before last week's 5 Fact. I think I did mention it. But this was mentioned by 2 people, including Simon Bradbury. Thank you, Simon. And one other person. What about the surprise surge in retail sales? Okay, guys, if you think that there was a surprise surge in retail sales, I'm afraid, in my view, this is classic gaslighting, okay? Because actually, if you look at the numbers, what it was just, there was November retail sales, December retail sales, and January retail sales. And it hasn't changed the trend. The trend is still down. It is a 1-month reading after what is a quiet month anyway, and is not actually a surprise at all if you look at the trend. It's pretty much where you'd expect it to be. But would the media go, oh, surprise, shock, surprise? Yes, of course they do. But it's only retail sales. It's not employment. It's not lending. It's nothing. It's, yes, is the trend of retail sales a legitimate long-term financial indicator? 100%, absolutely, I don't dispute that. But if you look at the trend is still down. It is not trending up. And it is not a surprise that January goes back to whereabouts November was after December being very bad because it's a quiet Christmas month. Oh, my signal's very poor. Sorry, guys. I don't know what to do about my internet. So there's that. Now, there was one other that no one else suggested that I thought would have been a valid, positive argument about, well, hang on, this is a positive indicator, isn't it? And it is this. The UK posts record fiscal surplus in January. All right. UK posts record fiscal surplus in pre-budget boost for Hunt. And okay, on first impressions, you'd be like, oh, wow, record. So the tax receipts were more. The government made a profit effectively, rather than it actually received more than it had to borrow. Okay, first of all, it still had I'm not going to spend too long on this, but January is always a high month in terms of tax receipts because it's the month that everyone on self-assessment has to pay their annual tax bill, myself included, okay? Secondly, this was for the tax year ended April 2023. So it was the 2022-23 tax year. And it's comparing it with the previous year. The previous year, which was 21-22, was as we came out of the end of the pandemic, when things were much, much lower. So it's an increase on that as well. I don't think it is, because it's always a good month, January, and also it's not inflation adjusted. So I don't think that suddenly the UK government is going to have a month-on-month tax surplus. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think this is just baseless hope puff. But I was surprised no one suggested this story as surely this is positive news for the housing market. No, it's a month blip. It is genuinely actually a month blip. They even talk about that in the article. So guys, on that happy note, I've got to wrap it up and end it. More stuff coming out. I am planning to do, especially for all the new followers, and there are plenty of you, and you're all welcome, extra specially welcome to new followers, as always. Well, that's interesting. Gavin Ward says, taking aside Fred Harrison's insane house price rises, he seems more bearish than you on the falls in 2026. He doesn't know where the bottom of the market might be. I think that's what you meant, Gavin. 2026 is when I think the bottom's going to be reported, having hit it in 2025. And so some people will say, Fred Harrison was right. It was 2026. It started in 2022, guys. The slide, not a crash. He'll say, there was a crash in 2026. No, it was a slide over 4 years, like I've said from the beginning. There's more to talk through, guys, but I also asked people, this is the last thing and I'm going to stop. I asked people on X this morning for signs of why they think the economy has a positive outlook. Because I don't want recession. Recession means people losing jobs. I don't want recession. I would love there to be positive, sustainable economic growth and for people to have their real wages rising so that people's quality of life could improve and there could actually be optimism and hope. I am not aware of any source of that happening anywhere. And I've asked for it and I haven't got any. On that happy note, have a fantastic weekend and I will talk to you soon. Thank you very much, guys. Lots of Q&As to come and stuff. I might even do something this afternoon. I might actually I want to run through all the house price indices, why they're all misleading. And I might do a session on that this afternoon. Otherwise, have a good one. Please remember you can find me on mhwc.co.uk. If you want to book time with me one-to-one, if you want to talk to my mortgage guys, you want to talk to my conveyancers, you want to buy your property search back through me, all of which helps me very much, by the way, mhwc.co.uk for any of those things. Thank you, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.